Number 10. GLENMORGAN. Glen, or Mr. Metropolis as he is sometimes known, was a villain that New 52 Superman came up against. He ended up being targeted by both Superman, both as Kal-El and Clark Kent, due to crimes he had been involved in. After being dropped off the side of a tall building, he was forced to confess to his involvement, but managed to avoid going to prison. He spoke out against Superman as an alien threat to planet Earth, and managed to attract the attention of General Sam Lane and Lex Luthor, who then became obsessed with trapping Superman. Number 9. SUPERDOOM. This villain first appeared in Action Comics Volume 2, Issue number 9. SUPERDOOM is a villain who was actually created by the non-powered team of Clark Kent, Lois Lane, and Jimmy Olsen, in an unfortunate partnership with the evil corporation Overcorp. SUPERDOOM was supposed to be, for Lois, Jimmy, and Clark, the savior of humanity. They envisioned him as a hero named Superman, who would be created using a device they invented that turned thoughts into reality. However, instead, their Superman became corrupted and turned evil, and set out on a mission to destroy every other Superman in the multiverse, becoming known as SUPERDOOM. Calvin Ellis, the Superman of Earth 23, with the help of his Earth's Lex Luthor, were the two who ended up putting a stop to SUPERDOOM the first time around, though eventually SUPERDOOM would be redeemed and would later be transformed into a hero. But when he was introduced, he was a villain. Number 8. WRAITH. WRAITH first appeared in Superman Unchained number 1 and was created by Scott Snyder and Jim Lee. WRAITH is an acronym for William Rudolph's Ace in the Hole. He was introduced in the story Superman Unchained as the original Superman, an alien who was sent as a gift to Earth from an alien race as a response to a mathematical equation that Earth had sent out into space, which that alien race had intercepted. WRAITH was used by the military as a weapon and tool in World War II, and continued to be used by them ever since. WRAITH, however, as a super being, belonged to the US military, and of course was only loyal to the USA, and ended up turning on Superman when Kal-El came into conflict with General Sam Lane. WRAITH was also stronger than Superman, who turned to the Justice League for help in defeating WRAITH, which ultimately only made WRAITH expand his wrath to that of the Justice League as well.
Number 7. Sand Superman. Sand Superman got his powers by a combination of a few things. Superman's powers, sand, and psychic energy, which came from a dimension called Quorum. So, yeah, that's how we got this Man of Sand. See what I did there? He is quite the powerful foe, and if they are close, he can drain the Man of Steel's powers. The other crazy thing about how these two are linked is that the planet will blow up if they have any physical contact, since he can drain and consume Superman's powers. He even sort of turned good, wanting to save lives, instead of hurting them.
Number 6. Leviathan. Leviathan was another mysterious villain of Superman's for a good amount of time during DC's Leviathan event. He was the leader of Leviathan, an anti-capitalist organization who seeks to dismantle society and reshape it through replacing the world's leaders. Basically, it's a terrorist organization. Writer Brian Michael Bendis later revealed that this mysterious figure would actually end up being not a new character, but instead a character who was well established in DC canon, although for a while we thought it was a new character. The big reveal would be that Leviathan was Mark Shaw, aka Manhunter, who had joined the organization and organized a coup to overthrow its leader, Talia al Ghul. After successfully doing so, Shaw became the new leader, taking up the codename Leviathan. And that's who we know him as now, Leviathan, no longer Manhunter.
Number 5. The Prankster. Once the extremely popular host of the Uncle Oswald show, Oswald Loomis became the prankster after his show was cancelled and ultimately ended his career in comedy. His first assault on Metropolis was an all-out barrage of practical jokes that ended in his surrender. After a while, Loomis resurfaced with a much younger and athletic body thanks to selling his soul to Lord Satanus, and this changed everything. With a more serious personality and affinity for dangerous tricks, Loomis basically became a slightly less twisted version of the Joker, and his only goal was to make the world laugh via his own twisted ways. When Metropolis was taken over by Brainiac 13, he took advantage of all the futuristic tech available and upgraded his existing gadgets, which proved to be pretty effective against even the likes of Superman. However, this was probably because the Man of Steel was suffering from kryptonite poisoning at the time and did not have full access to his powers. Skip ahead a little bit to when the Joker took over the world, and we meet a slightly altered Halloween mask wearing prankster who acts as Joker City's exorcist, whose goal is to expel the evil from those who still believe in science. Thankfully for everyone out there, he was eventually apprehended by Superman and taken to Belle Reve to serve his time for all his crimes. Having made his first appearance all the way back in 1988 Superman Volume 2 number 16, give his story a read for yourself and let me know what you think in the comments below.
Number 4. Blank. Blank was first introduced in Superman Lois and Clark issue number 3. He is a psionic supervillain who posed a great threat to Superman post-Flashpoint, despite his powerful telepathic, telekinetic, and pyrokinetic abilities. However, Superman was able to restrain him until Blank was broken out by Cyborg Superman, who recruited him for his new Superman Revenge Squad.
Number 3, Cancer. This is definitely an interesting villain, and one for sure I definitely had not heard of at all. So somewhere down the line, Superman developed cancerous cells. When they removed the actual cells from Superman's body, what do? What do you know? We got our villain Cancer. Yes, he came to life from the removal of these cancerous cells in Superman's body. Since he came from Superman, he has most of Superman's powers, as well as being able to completely destroy a human body with just a touch from him. Since he is connected to Superman, he has weird issues about him being his father and whatnot. So, it's a little bit strange.
Number 2, ROGOL ZAAR. ROGOL ZAAR was created by Brian Michael Bendis and Jim Lee, and first appeared in Action Comics issue 1000. What an issue to come in on. 1,000. That's a lot of issues. ROGOL ZAAR is an alien warrior who claimed to be responsible for the destruction of Krypton. He hates Kryptonians. ROGOL is also strong enough to take on both Superman and Supergirl at the same time, and is a very powerful foe. He has been temporarily defeated and was held in a permanent stasis to prevent him from harming anybody else. But I'm sure this isn't the last that we'll see of this new mighty foe. He's just too powerful. Plus, you know, if you destroy Krypton, if you make that claim, probably gonna be around for a while. Number 1, Dr. Fate. Wait, what? Isn't Dr. Fate a good guy? Also, isn't he originally from the 1940s? Yes and yes, but in a new issue of Superman, issue 24 of volume 5, a magical storm is brewing to take on the Man of Steel himself. Superman is nigh invincible with only a few weaknesses to speak of, but despite having few, these weaknesses are pretty massive, pretty mighty for Kal-El, one being a weakness to magic. We've got a synopsis and cover art for issue 24 that reveals Superman will have a new villain on the rise who is pitting Supes against Dr. Fate. So while I'm sure Dr. Fate won't actually be going full villain and this will be a misunderstanding, this still means that Superman could have a very powerful and mysterious foe indeed rising up. Perhaps one that is also based in the realm of magic, which is pretty crazy, as this could mean that they could very well be one of the more powerful foes that Superman has yet to face in over 80 years of comics. But only time will tell what is really happening in this story where Superman takes on Dr. Fate. And you'll have to wait till at least June of 2020 to find out, assuming there aren't more comic book delays for that title.
Number 10, Nuclear Man. Regarded by many as one of the strangest and most half-baked Superman villains to date, Nuclear Man hasn't had too many appearances outside of his introduction in 1987 Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. He was created by Lex Luthor from a strand of hair containing Superman's DNA, which he threw into a genetic stew. Superman is actually the one responsible for this villain's birth though, as he wasn't fully born until Superman threw the nuclear missile containing the device that had the stew in it into the sun. Having been created using Kryptonian DNA, he possesses powers similar to Superman, such as invulnerability, energy projection, flight, and of course the standard super strength and speed. However, Nuclear Man needs to have constant exposure to sunlight in order to use them. If he's left out of the sun for too long, he becomes completely immobilized and must wait for some more sunlight in order to recharge. In the movie, Superman stopped Nuclear Man for good by causing a sudden solar eclipse when he moved the moon in front of the sun, then dropped him into the heart of a nuclear reactor where he could become an abundant source of energy for the remainder of his days. Now, like I said before, Nuclear Man hasn't made too many appearances outside of Superman 4, but if you want to see him in comic book form, check him out in his one-off appearance in 2018 Superman Volume 5, Number 2. Number 9, Microwave Man. Louis Paget from Earth 1, known as the costume baddie Microwave Man, has a pretty interesting story despite only appearing in 2 issues back in 1978. Paget spent 40 years traveling around the galaxy aboard an alien spacecraft before returning back to Earth in October of 1978. Now, not much is known about his life before his interstellar journey other than the fact that he was already known as the villain Microwave Man. Upon his return, Paget calls upon his alien friends one last time to grant him back his youth, even though doing this would shorten his remaining life to only a few more hours. This didn't seem to bother him, and once he was young again, Paget assumed the identity of Microwave Man once more and challenged Superman. Now, Paget's alien friends inform Superman that he only wants the glory of defeating him and will die very soon, so Superman, like the upstanding good guy that he is, allows Paget to defeat him in a test of strength, after which he dies satisfied, and the aliens come to claim his body to set adrift in space as he had once requested. Making his first appearance in 1978's Action Comics number 487, why not check his short run out for yourself? Number 8. The Puzzler. So little is known about either version of the Puzzler, so don't feel bad if you're not familiar with this character or just generally don't know who they are. The first to take up this name was Valerie Van Haften, a longtime admirer of Superman and someone who wanted nothing more than to get his attention, so she had the idea of becoming a heroine with the intent of one day joining his team. This proved to be a lot harder than she thought, and she quickly turned to crime instead and eventually joined the likes of the Secret Six to get a get out of hell free card. Her powers are actually pretty cool, as she's made up of a bunch of indestructible puzzle pieces that she has full control over, allowing her to deconstruct at will and even fling the pieces at her opponents like a bullet. Now, the second Puzzler is from the Prime Earth and is actually known as Puzzler Bot, a creation of that universe's Puzzler that mimics the abilities of its creator through technological assimilation. That's about it when it comes to these characters, so if you know any more, please let me know in the comments below, but in the meantime, check them out for yourself in 2002 Superman Volume 2, number 187, and 2013's Justice League of America Volume 3, number 3.
Number 7. KATYO the Trickster. KATYO is an ancient trickster who is similar to Marvel's Loki and is also associated with the concept of chaos. She often causes trouble just because she can and because she is curious to see what will happen. KATYO was responsible for transporting both Superman and Batman through time to an alternate world where they met alternate versions of themselves and were forced to fight. She often wipes the memories of those she meddles with, leaving them with no knowledge of her existence or what she did to them. KATYO first appeared in Batman/Superman issue number 2.
Number 6. Bruno Mannheim. Bruno Ugly Mannheim had the honor, or I don't know, maybe dishonor depending on how you look at it, of being introduced not in a Superman comic, but in the spin-off series Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. Mannheim starts off as a pretty run-of-the-mill stereotypical gangster, trying to just stake a claim for himself in Metropolis, but eventually morphs into something very different and ultimately confusing. With no real powers unless you consider greed and brutality to be special, Mannheim was beefed up by DC when he was made leader of the Intergang, a worldwide crime syndicate that answers to no one other than Darkseid. Basically, Mannheim is this interesting amalgamation of some of the best villains out there, as he is known to go full-blown Hannibal Lecter sometimes, eating his enemies/subordinates that disobey him, and he also flip-flops between being a super genius like Lex Luthor to an overwhelming powerhouse like Darkseid. Yeah, I know, it's all a little bit confusing, so why not check him out for yourself so you can make some more sense of his character, starting with his first appearance in 1971's Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, number 139.
Number 5. Master Jailer. The Master Jailer, aka Death Trap, worked for Star Labs in creating cells for superpowered individuals. He is incredibly smart and was asked to try and figure out a way to hold Superman in the cell, but proved he couldn't do it. That didn't stop his obsession with trying to figure out how he could one day trap the Man of Steel in one of his cells, though. He found out Superman's identity, Clark Kent, and wanted to try and go after his friends as a way to get him to cooperate. He also teamed up with some of Superman's longtime foes, but he was never able to fully capture the Man of Steel like he always wanted.
Number 4. Lois Lane Robot. On New Earth and during his quest for the power he lost in Blackest Night, Lex Luthor decided it was a good idea to take a Brainiac probe stored in LexCorp and a sample of Lois Lane's DNA to create a robotic version of her that would serve as his quote-unquote conscience. Unfortunately for him, before he was able to complete the programming, he was held hostage by some bandits under the control of Mr. Mind, and he himself was put into a mental illusion. The Lois Lane robot was functional enough though to activate all of its weapon systems, allowing it to take out all of the thugs and bring Luthor back into reality. Armed to the brim with state-of-the-art technology and weapons, her robotic android body allows her to repair any damage received, and also gives her the ability to fly alongside super strength, durability, and speed. Now, not long after their run-in with Mr. Mind, Luthor, Deathstroke, and Lanebot head to Antarctica to find a black orb that is somehow related to the Black Power Ring energy. The effects of this orb were enough to cause Deathstroke and his men to completely lose control and attack one another. However, Lanebot was not affected as she is inorganic. That was the last time we saw the Lois Lane robot, so until they grace the comic book pages once again, check them out in their first appearance in 2010's Action Comics number 890.
Number 3. Mr. Oz/Jor-El. Jor-El first appeared in the New Earth continuity in Man of Steel number 1 in the 80s. While this might not make him a new character, seeing him reimagined as a villain in the Prime Earth continuity was new. He made his first appearance in that continuity in Action Comics volume number 2, issue number 3. More recently, he has been known as Mr. Oz, who is a somewhat villainous and mysterious character who is seen interfering with Superman's life. Jor-El adopted this name after an unknown force transported him to Earth, allowing him to witness the cruelty of man. Since then, he adopted the name Mr. Oz and set out to prove to his son Kal-El that humans are evil beings who are unworthy of his protection. His master plan and who he was finally revealed in the story arc The Oz Effect.
Number 2, HELSPONT. Although he was originally created as the nemesis of the Wildcats in the Wildstorm universe, HELSPONT made his way onto the villain roster for Superman when that universe was brought into the DC universe in the New 52 relaunch. As a Daemonite, HELSPONT possesses a ridiculous amount of powers thanks to his alien physiology, such as, but definitely not limited to, chronokinesis, accelerated healing, and telepathy, and when combined with his Akurian host body, he is shown to possess super strength and speed that are able to outmatch even the Man of Steel himself. HELSPONT made his first documented move against humanity by trying to start a nuclear war between the most powerful nations on Earth in order to allow humanity to destroy itself so the planet would be empty for the Daemonites. However, this plan didn't really pan out as he was stopped by Team 1 and Mr. Majestic. In the rebooted Wildstorm universe, HELSPONT is now a super evolved living hive mind because apparently when the number of Daemonites reaches a certain number, a central mind is created. HELSPONT now has the knowledge and intelligence of every member of the entire Daemonite race, and its synthetic body is a rad looking mix of flesh, metal, and fire. Thanks to this, he has moved into a league of his own when it comes to power, however we are still waiting to see it all in action. Now I did have to skip over a lot of cool stuff regarding this character, so check out his story for yourself, starting with his first appearance in 1992's Wildcats number 1. And coming in at number 1, we have Conduit. Kenny Braverman was, funnily enough, born on the same day that Superman's ship arrived on Earth. His fate was not exactly as lucky as our Man of Steel's. While his parents were on the way to the hospital, they ended up having to pull over to the side of the road due to the heavy storm, and he was born curbside, incredibly close to Clark's ship, and the exposure to the kryptonite caused some side effects that would manifest later in life. All throughout their younger years, Clark and Kenny were rivals, competing in everything from sports to girls, and this probably caused some serious self-esteem issues for Kenny because Clark always seemed to come out on top. After high school, Kenny went on to join the CIA and grew more and more reckless as his dormant abilities started to change his personality. Turns out Kenny's body is basically a living conduit for all energy, and it can process, manipulate, and even generate forms of energy in many destructive ways. Upon realizing this, Kenny took up the mantle of Conduit and decided it was finally time to get his revenge on Clark. However, all of his attempts seemed to fail. Later confronted by Superman, Kenny deduced that Clark and the Man of Steel were one and the same, which was perfect for him because they were literally the only people he wanted to kill. So, he set all his sights on getting rid of Superman. Kenny manages to catch Superman and traps him in a mock version of Smallville, and the two face off one-on-one in a replica of their childhood football stadium. Unfortunately for Kenny, he succumbed to his madness and supercharged himself with kryptonite energy, effectively overloading his powers and killing him in the process.
Number 10. The Dummy. The Dummy was created in the 1940s and has faced Superman countless times. Now, he isn't just strictly a Superman villain, he has faced other superheroes as well. He's quite intelligent and uses a gun quite a bit. Not much else is known about his backstory, since it was never really revealed if he was actually a literal ventriloquist dummy or just something else. Number 9. Hobby Robber. So there isn't much about Hobby Robber either, which seems like a trend on this list. But he made an appearance in 1944 and was created by Jerry Siegel and Sam Citrin. So his history of Superman is simple, but very strange. Clark Kent apparently has a rare clock collection, and Hobby Robber steals it. Yep, it's pretty weird, but in the original multiverse he gets erased by Crisis on Infinite Earths. So I guess that clock collection disappeared as well? I guess we'll never know. Number 8. Klakok. Okay, I am very sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but you know what, we'll just move on. He is a villain and has the ability to grow double his size. He was a part of Superman's revenge squad at one point. Yes, apparently that was a thing. He obviously has this vendetta against Superman and has fought him from time to time. He hasn't appeared in too much throughout the comics, but being on a squad that has had members at different times like Bizarro, Parasite, Metallo, Lex Luthor, and even Superman himself. Yes, Superman himself was, at a time, part of the Superman Revenge Squad. But Superman was only part of it to help take down evil Kryptonians that were, led by none other than General Zod. So I guess it makes sense.
Number 7. Bloodsport. Now, unfortunately, a cool name doesn't always make for a cool villain. We've seen a few of Lex Luthor's henchmen take up the name Bloodsport, but let's focus on the first, Robert Dubois. Dubois suffered a mental breakdown after his brother had taken his place in the Vietnam War and became a quadruple amputee, resulting in Dubois spending 12 years bouncing between various psychiatric hospitals. Somehow, an agent of Lex Luthor persuades Dubois that Superman is to blame for all his troubles, causing him to adopt the name Bloodsport and go on a needless rampage in downtown Metropolis. Equipped with basic hand-to-hand combat skills and some unnamed tech from Luthor that allowed him to summon any weapon he desired from a remote location, Dubois caused some serious damage before being subdued after his brother confronted him. He spent several years in Stryker Island's penitentiary before Alex Trent the person who took up the name Bloodsport after him was brought to his attention. Believing it was the healthiest way for the two to work out their problems, the warden set up a boxing match between the two with Superman as the referee. However, things got out of hand pretty quickly and a riot broke out that allowed Dubois to escape. His freedom didn't last very long though, as he was quickly shot down by a prison guard. Check out his story for yourself, starting with 1987 Superman Volume 2, number 4.
Number 6. Mr. Zed. Mr. Zed is immortal and quite fascinated with famous people. So what he likes to do is travel, through a time to capture famous people and his crystal, and that is on top of his cane, basically capturing their souls. He also has the power of hypnotizing people and resurrection. Of course, he became fascinated with Superman. When attempting to try and capture Superman into his crystal, he is unsuccessful due to where he came from and how powerful the Man of Steel is. In the end, his crystal explodes, freeing most of the souls that he captured throughout time. He has faced off with him other times as well, whether it was in the past or the present day version of himself.
Number 5. Ulysses. Ulysses first appeared in Superman Volume 3, Issue 32 in the New 52. Ulysses himself was actually Neil Quinn from Earth. He was sent off-world to the 4th dimension in an attempt to save his life by his parents, who actually thought Earth would soon perish, much like Superman's parents did with him. He returned to Earth years later with superpowers acquired from the 4th dimension that were similar to Superman's, and discovered that Earth still exists. It actually hadn't perished. Ulysses was convinced by the Machinist to betray Earth when he was shown the potential for evil that humanity had. He then attempts to sacrifice 6 million humans in an effort to power his adoptive home, the 4th dimension, also known as the Great World.
Number 4. Atomic Skull. So Atomic Skull was created back in the 1970s and has faced Superman numerous times. So basically, Joseph Martin got hit by a gene bomb and became Atomic Skull. His powers include super strength, gives off huge amounts of radiation, and has a flaming radiation type skull for his head. Now, as scary as this guy is, these powers definitely took their toll on Joseph as he started getting brain damage. The damage sort of led to Joseph to change his persona to Atomic Skull. He is known to be quite erratic and can be quite violent due to some hallucinations.
Number 3. TERRA-MAN. Tobias Manning, aka TERRA-MAN, was once a businessman who one day realized just how much damage he was causing to the Earth and its environment. With his newfound conscience, Manning took up a personal vendetta against any company that was causing damage to the environment. Using weapons that focused on turning the environment around his enemies against them, he has caused some serious damage in the name of the Earth, and that earned him a spot on the Secret Society of Villains during the events of Infinite Crisis. Even after this catastrophic event, TERRA-MAN continued his nefarious ways by hijacking a plane over the Middle East. Thanks to Black Adam, he escaped both harm and capture for this crime. However, in hindsight, teaming up with Black Adam probably wasn't the best idea for him, because when Black Adam later appeared to address the media in front of Conduit's New York embassy, he ripped TERRA-MAN in half with no warning, and that was the end of this nature-loving villain until he was resurrected during the events of the Blackest Night. Why not give his story a read for yourself, starting with his first appearance all the way back in 1990's Superman Volume 2, number 46.
Number 2, Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace was created in the 1980s and has the power of mind control, and with that power, she can manipulate others. Amazing Grace works with a villain known as Darkseid as his agent. So she basically lives amongst the people of Apocalypse and tries to root out who are the most unloyal to him and who would betray him in an instance. She finds these people and basically betrays them once they show their true colors. She has done this with Superman in the sense, by luring him in to save her when really she did not need saving at all. It was just a ploy to manipulate him and to make him believe that he was Darkseid's son, which he actually believed. In the end, Orion, Darkseid's true son who they were waging war on, used the Mother Box to give Superman his mind back. Number 1, Super Menace. Super Menace is definitely one of the most out there villains that you probably haven't heard of. The origin of Super Menace is that when Superman got sent to Earth in a spaceship from Krypton, his spaceship collided with another alien spaceship, which was Super Menace's. What happened from that collision was Superman's spaceship got copied and duplicated into this other one, creating the persona Super Menace. He landed with parents that definitely were no Martha or Jonathan Kent, and instead of growing up loved, he grew up in a not so good household where he ultimately became a villain, the Super Menace.